Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. Today we continue our discussion on Srimad Bhagavad-gītā, as it is. Yesterday we concluded first 10 chapters, and now we'll continue with the 11th. And the 10th chapter describes the Lord's vibhutis, how He's present in all existence actually. Whatever we see, whatever we touch, whatever we hear, whatever we smell, whatever we taste, it's actually only Krishna. And we are attracted only to Krishna, even if we are atheists. Only Krishna attracts us, unstoppable. Yes, we can't avoid Krishna, even if you would like to. Yes, because He's all attractive, that means He's all attractive absolutely, at all times, in all circumstances. Yes, so everyone is helplessly attracted only to Krishna. But if one doesn't know this, he's conditioned. Yes, then he thinks that he is attracted only to some particular spark of Lord Krishna's glory and opulence. Yes, so if we are attracted to beauty of nature, or to opposite sex, or to food, or to wealth, or to anything, it's just Lord's feature, insignificant feature. So even we are so infatuated by this insignificant feature of the Lord. Just imagine if we encounter the Lord Himself fully. We completely lost our consciousness. Yes. So yes. So Arjuna asked the Lord to reveal His different opulences, that He will speak about them in 10th chapter. But then in 11th chapter, he asked the Lord to reveal also these opulences to him, that he would see them. And he's quite diplomatic in this way. Manase yadita chakyam maya drashtam iti prabhu. Yogeshvara tatomitvam darshanatmayam avyayam. If you think that I'm able to see your glory, and you are Yogeshvara, you are the master of all mystic opulences, so you can do miracles, with other words. So even if I'm not able to see you, I'm not qualified to see you, you are perfect mystic. You can grant me this vision even if I'm not able, if I'm not qualified to see you. And then Krishna agrees to reveal this glory to him. And this is very significant, because Prabhupada mentioned many times, if one poses as a Supreme Lord, he must be challenged if he can show universal form. Yes, and if he's not able to show his universal form, then it's just an imposter and a cheater. And but then something very interesting happened, and he says, "Natu mam shakasi drashtum ananeva svachakshusha divyam dadami te chakshuh pashyame yogam aishwaram." But you cannot see me with your eyes. Divyam dadami te chakshuh. I'm giving you divine eyes. And one would think that this is upgrade of his eyes, of Arjuna's eyes, that now he will have divine eyes. that he can see his universal form. But it is explained by our acharyas that this is actually downgrade of his eyes. Why? An idea?
Say the form of Krishna, which is superior to the universal.
Yes. You wanted to say something?
Yeah, the same.
The same.
He's
And
seeing the personality.
the same. Yes, actually, his eyes were prema chakshu. His eye was smeared with love. So he saw the Lord's original form. But to get this vision of universal form, he had to get these eyes of demigods, divine eyes. Yes, not prema vision that he had. Yes, and so he revealed his glory, and he extended on all over the firmament, all over the sky, in thousands and thousands of different forms, and ghastly forms also. And then Arjuna became extremely afraid of the Lord. Yes. Fear overcame him. Yes. And this is important, and he to understand, he lost his relationship with the Lord. Because before he was friend of the Lord, then he was praying for forgiveness. Please forgive me that I was so impudent with you, that I called you Hey Krishna, Hey Yadava. Yadava means, of course, for Kaurava, Yadava is something low grade. Usually they were thinking like this. If you remember when Samba, Krishna's son, was abducted Lakshmana, Duryodhana's daughter, from her Swayamvara, this most valiant, most powerful generals of Kaurava army, including Bhishma and Drona and Karna, they attacked Samba, and after heavy battle, they could capture him. Yes, and then Yadavas were extremely enraged when they heard this, and they prepared for war against Kauravas. And then Balaram, who was martial guru of Duryodhana, he wanted to make peace with Kauravas, and he hardly pacified Yadavas, and he went alone to Kauravas to get Samba back. And then he ordered Kauravas to release Samba immediately. This is the injunction, the commandment of King Ungrasena. And then Kauravas became extremely infuriated hearing this. And they said, just see, Yadavas who are forbidden to be kings, they can share kingly throne just because we are merciful to them and we are connected through marriage, because Devaki was married to Pandu, so they were connected through marriage, and so they can eat from the royal table. Otherwise, they are like dogs that just pick up the crumbles from which fall from the table, and they are like shoe that try to climb on the head of a king. Yes, and then Balaram was completely enraged by such a talk of Kauravas, and then they went back to the city, and then Balaram started to laugh furiously. Just see, he said that the king of demigods, kings of demigods, the most powerful demigods, are coming to offer their obeisances to King Ugrasena. And these people are speaking that we are like shoe and that they are like crown. I will show them, and I really tried with all my strength to pacify these Yadavas, and just because of my mercy. Now I will show them what's their place. And he took his plow and grabbed the Hastinapura and started to drag it towards the Yamuna. And it looked like the whole city will fall into Yamuna and be completely destroyed. And then this Kaurava realized, yes, we shouldn't speak like this with Balaram. If we enrage Balaram, will be all killed immediately. And so they went to Balaram with Samba and Lakshmana and with gifts of tribute to Balaram, and begged him for forgiveness. Yes. So why I was telling this story about Balaram and the Yadavas. Oh yes, Arjuna was calling Yadava Krishna before as a friend, and from this story we know that Kauravas considered Yadavas something lower class than themselves. Yes, but they had friendly relationship, and they were eating from the same plate and lying on the same bed. So he considered himself extremely offensive towards such a great personality as he saw Krishna now in this universal form. And he saw that this universal form is all devouring. And Krishna showed him how all these great generals, and Bhishma and Drona and Karna, are just disappearing in his gaping mouths, and that different soldiers are with crushed heads stuck in the teeth of the Lord. Yes. He was gnashing them, and all these soldiers were flowing into his mouth like rivers, and like moths flying into fire. You can see now we have electric light, but this is just something new, maybe 50 years or a little more, 70 years, 100 years maybe, that people have electric light. Before it was just fire, candles or these lanterns, but all were fire. And these moths, they again, like now, they are flying towards these electric lights, and they're not killed usually. But at that, in older times, they were always killed. They finished in the fire. Yes, and so these soldiers were flying into Lord's mouth like these moths into the fire. Yeah. And then Arjuna was really afraid and was asking the Lord, "Who are you? I want to know you. I want to know what your mission is." Yes, and the Lord explains, "Kalosmi lokakshay hrit parvirdo, lokansa machartumiha pravirtaha, ratepitvam nabhavishyanti sarve ye vasitah pratinikeshu yodah." I'm all-devouring time, and I came to kill all the soldiers. Except a few Pandavas, everyone will die actually in this ghastly war. Yes. And I have killed already all of them, Bhishma and Drona, and you just have to become an instrument in my hands. Yes. Therefore, get up and win the glory of a conqueror. Yes. So here it is very important message. We have to just perform our duties, as Krishna explains again and again throughout the Bhagavad-gītā. Just perform your duties. And then actually everything will be carried out by the Lord, if it is His will. Yes. And if it is not His will, we'll be defeated anyway, if we perform or not perform our duties. Yes. So, why worry? Yes. You shouldn't worry at any time. Yes. Once I've heard something, I don't remember exactly how it was. Why, with these exact words, why worry? Anyone heard? I think Gurgopal had this. Sorry?
Is it that if you worry about it and it doesn't happen, you worry one time necessary?
Yes.
You worry 2 times. So
Yes, and if it is happening, it's also you have to act. Why worry? If something will happen, so it doesn't happening now, why worry about it? And if it is happening now, you should act. Why you would worry about it? And if it happened in the past, why you would worry? So don't worry. Be happy. Yes. You shouldn't worry for anything. And this is the message of Bhagavad-gītā. Mashucha, don't worry. Yes, from the very beginning of Bhagavad-gītā. Ashochan anvatrochastvam. Don't worry. You're lamenting for something that is not worthy of lament. You're worrying for something that is not worthy of worry. Yes, don't worry. So yes, so just be nimitta matram bhavaya savasachin. Become an instrument in my hands. Yes. And then Arjuna, when he was asking Krishna for forgiveness, he also then explained that I haven't seen such a sin, never before. Please be merciful to me. Please be merciful like the father is merciful towards his son, or husband to his wife, and friend to his friend. Please be also you be merciful towards me. And if you wish, I would like to see again your most pleasing form, and also I would like to see your four-armed form. Yes. And then Krishna showed him also his four-armed form. And then again his two-armed form. And he pacified Arjuna And he says, it's enough. This ghastly form is enough of your fear. Don't fear. Yes. Again, see my pleasing two-arm forms. And he said that then Arjuna realized that this form is extremely pleasing that he is seeing, this two-arm form. And Krishna then said that it's very difficult, in fact, to see this form, that the demigods are yearning to see it. And it cannot be seen by any means other than bhakti. Yes. Bhaktya tvananaya shakya ahamevam vidurjuna gyatun drashtun chatatvana praveshtu champarantapa. I can be realized only by ananya bhakti. Anya means other. Ananya means not other. That means that we engage only in bhakti, nothing else in our life. There is no place in our heart for anything but just bhakti. Yes. And this is one of the definition of bhakti. Ananya mamata Vishnu, mamata prima sangata, bhaktiri utyuchati bhishma praladoda vanaradehi. Yes, it is explained that Ananya mamata Vishnu, that bhakti is that we possess, we have this possessive mentality towards Krishna. Krishna is the only thing that I love. Krishna is my Lord. Yes, this possessiveness towards the Lord. He's my Lord. Yes, He's my lover. He's my son. He's my beloved. He's my friend. Yes, we should have this possessive attitude towards the Lord. And only towards the Lord, to nothing else. Ananya, yes, bhaktya tvananya shakya. Only by this fixed devotional service, in all our consciousness, all our love, all our meditation, our hankerings, or desires should be directed only to the Lord. And if they are not, we should desire to be. Yes, this is proper engagement of desires. That only the Lord would be my object of my meditation, of my worship, of my thinking, of my willing. Yes, of my feeling. Yes, of everything. That He is the Lord of my life. Yes. And only devotees then can give up other things. Yes. Mat karma krin mat paramo mat bhakta sangha varjita nirvairah sarabhutishu yaksamameti pandava. Krishna explains in the last verse of 11th chapter. Yes, that devotees engage in the service of Him and accept Him as a supreme, and they can detach from material world. Yes, and not envious of other living entities. They don't hate anyone. Nirvairah sarabhuteshu yahsamameti pandava, and they achieve me. Yes, and because it is so common in this world that people are thinking that denial of what we can see in this world can be accepted as spirit, and what is similar to this world, it cannot be accepted as spiritual. And therefore, people think that because in this world we can see forms, we can see different living entities and so many different things, that spiritual dimension must be something opposite of this. So it must be one undifferentiated substance, spirit. So they try to achieve impersonal liberation, to lose their individuality in one spiritual dimension. Yes. And this is common thought even in modern world. We can see this Mayavad is very prominent. And therefore Arjuna is asking in the beginning of 12th chapter, he says, Evam satata yukta ye bhaktastvam parupasati ye chapyaksharam aviktam tesham ki yoga vitama. Who is better, those who worship you with love or those who are worshipping something impersonal? Yeah. Please tell me decisively this. And this is very clear question, no room for doubt. And Krishna is directly answering. Maya veshya manoyamam nityayukta upasati. Nityayukta upasati. How is this? Maya veshya manoyamam nityayukta upasati. Shraddhaya parayopet. No, this is ye chapshaksharam aviktam tesham. Maya veshya manoyamam nityayukta upasati shraddhaya paropetas teme yukta tamomataha. Yes, it's like this. And he directly explains, my devotees are the best. My devotees are the best, who have deep shraddha, who are full of faith in me and worship me with all their heart. And then he says something very interesting, that also those who worship the unmanifest, who are impersonalists, and engage in for the benefit of every living entity, they can also attain me. At the end, they also attain only me. But then immediately he says something very interestingly. Klisho dikataraste shama vyakta sakta chetasam avyakta hi gatir dukham dehavad viravapate. That for those who worship impersonal reality, or this avyakta or unmanifest, will undergo only trouble. Klesha dikataraste shama avyakta sakta chetasam. And avyakta hi gatir dukham. He means certainly. And they will certainly achieve only misery. It's interesting because he said just the verse before that they will also attain him. But here he explains that they will achieve only misery. Isn't it interesting? Klesha and dukkha both means misery. One means suffering and one means misery. So they undergo only suffering and achieve only misery. Interesting, isn't it? Yes. And how to harmonize this verse with just stated before, one before? What do you think? Yes.
Well, the path of impersonal realization is only troublesome, but like Krishna speaks, I think the 6th chapter, with these different yoga forms, when they come to the perfection of the yoga form, then they can start to do bhakti. But until they get to that point, it's just tapasya.
Yes. Actually, at the end of 6th chapter says that my bhakta is the utmost yogi. But in 7th chapter he explains very deeply about these jnanis that try to achieve perfection through impersonal realization. Bahunam janmanamanti jnanavanamam prapadati. Vasudevak sarvamiti samahatma sudurlabha. That such a jnani, after many, many births and deaths, ultimately realizes, yes, Vasudeva, the Lord, Krishna is everything, and he surrenders to him. And such a soul is very rare, sudurlabha, sudurlabha, samahatma, sudurlabha. It's extremely rare. Yes. So, after many, many births, these people who are attached to avyakta, to impersonal realization, they will undergo only trouble and achieve only misery. But some rare Mahatma, after many births, he will realize, yes, Krishna is everything, and he will surrender to him. And then he can achieve perfection. Yes. Because we can see throughout Shastra that every liberation depends on bhakti. To achieve anything is dependent on bhakti. Yes. Only bhakti is paramasvatantra. Only bhakti is completely independent. But all other paths, even if you want to achieve some material success, because acceptance of a guru, of a teacher, is also bhakti. But if you don't, if you want to achieve anything, we have to accept a teacher. Even in material field, any material field, you have to accept someone who is teaching. Even if you learning something from YouTube, you still accept some authority, some teacher, isn't it? Yes. So this acceptance of a guide is actually accepting the fact that I'm not the Lord, that I need guidance of someone who has seen the truth. And this is the instruction of Krishna, and therefore it's bhakti, if we follow this, even unknowingly. So even if you want to achieve some perfection, material perfection, we have to follow bhakti. As long as we don't engage in bhakti, we cannot achieve anything whatsoever. But, as Krishna explained, if we don't engage in direct worshipping of Him, everything will be taken away. Yes, everything is in vain. Yes. So, bhakti is only independent process and can lead to ultimate perfection. Yes. So, and then Krishna explains something very important in 12th chapter. And he says, Mayeva mana adatsva mayi buddhim nivisha, nivishisa mayeva ata urdvamastam asamshaya. That engage your mind, again he is telling this to Arjuna. He told him before, also in previous chapters, in 8th chapter, and in 9th chapter. All the time he's explaining this. Just focus on me, your mind, your intelligence. Mayeva mana adatsva. Certainly in me. Eva means certainly. Mayi eva. Mayeva mana adatsva. Mayi buddhim niveshaya. Yes. And your intelligence should also dwell only in me. And thus you will always be in me, and you will definitely attain me. But, as also explained in the 8th chapter, if you cannot be in such a samadhi all the time, atachetam samadatum nashaknoshi maistiram abhyasa yoga natato mami chaptam dhananjaya. And here Krishna gives the same solution as before. We discussed this in 6th chapter when Arjuna objected that I cannot fix my mind as you are explaining. Krishna said, by abhyasa it's possible, by training of your consciousness. Yes, by constant practice. It's like a military drill, we said, this abhyasa. Yes, because our mind is designed for material survival. Yes, the purpose of the mind is to survive on material platform, and so it engages all the time in material existence. So it's very difficult to control it. But by abhyasa, by constant practice, by this drill of mind, it's possible. And here again he says, abhyasa yoga natato, engage in practice, in sadhana bhakti, because sadhana bhakti is such a drill of our mind. Mam ichaptum dhananjaya. And what will be the consequence of such a practice, of such training? You will achieve desire to attain me. And this is very important. This desire is the key of success. And also, Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda, they said that only this desire is only requirement, actually. Great desire. And for raga bhakti, there is only qualification is lobha, is hankering for the Lord, to have great greed to attain the Lord. Yes, lobha, we know it's by Rupa Goswami defined as one of the 6 items that destroy bhakti. But lobha for material things. But we should have lobha for Krishna. Yes. And then we are qualified to engage in raganuga bhakti. When we develop lobha. And Krishna explains how to develop lobha. Mam ichaptum dhananjaya. When we engage in constant practice of our mind and intelligence. But if you're not able to engage in such a practice, constant practice, then work for me, he says. Then work for me. Yes. And you can achieve perfection by working for me. And if you can't work for me, then it's very interesting, because people think that you don't need to be completely dedicated to Krishna on any level of existence. He said that these verses from 12th chapter are telling us that yes, you don't have to be completely dedicated to Krishna. But Krishna is speaking other words. Here he says, if you cannot practice, then work for me. Then you're my, whatever you do, just work for me. And if you can't work for me, then give up all fruits of your work. Yes. Sarva karma palam tyaktva. Yes. Yes, he says, Atitata pyashaktosi kartumam yogam ashita sarva karma palatyagam tatah kuru etatmavam. So live it like this, then give up everything you do for my purpose. Yes. So work for me means I do things directly for Krishna. I cooking for Krishna, I'm cleaning for Krishna, I'm making flower garlands for Krishna. This is work for Krishna. But if I can't engage in direct work for Krishna, then I should work whatever I do, but give up all fruits of our work for Krishna. Hare Krishna. Sarva karma palatyagam tatah kuryat atmavan. And be situated in yourself, in Atma actually. And then it is very interesting verse that is yes, please.
What does it mean to be situated in yourself?
That you know that what is Swarupa? Swarupa Jivara Swarupa Hoy Krishna Nitya Das. This is situated in one self, in one Atma, then that you know that you are not independent, that Krishna is the Lord. This means you are situated in yourself. Not in your false self, but in your true self, in your Atma. And he explains then, one verse is, the next verse is differently translated by different acharyas. And Prabhupada took the translation of Baladev Vidyabhushan, and at the beginning of Bhagavad-gītā he dedicates his Bhagavad-gītā to Baladev Vidyabhushan. And the last part of this translation is different. Here he says, Shrehi Gyanam Abhyasach, Shrehi Gyanam Abhyasach, Gyanat Dhyanam Vishishyati, Dhyanat Karma Pralatyagam, Tyagach Chantirna Nantaram. That better than abhyasa, than of this practice, is jnana, is knowledge of who is really Krishna. And better than knowledge is dhyana, is meditation. And then Prabhupada translates, and better than dhyana is to give up all fruits of your work, isn't it? It's translated like this in Prabhupada's Gita. But Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and also we can conclude from Sanskrit, it is that dhyana or meditation is better than jnana, and from such a dhyana it is possible to give up the fruits of our work. And we can achieve complete peace. So whatever version you take, it's the most important giveaway, to take away, not give away, take away, is to always remember Krishna. And give up everything for Krishna's pleasure. Yes. And then in the last part of 12th chapter, he explains how everything, how we can achieve his favor. Krishna explains who is dear to him. And one who is not envious of anyone, he explains many times in these verses. I will not go to every verse, but what is important to remember from these verses, that we shouldn't be inimical to anyone, regardless of who he is, and we should be satisfied. He points out this in 2 verses, that we should be santushta, satisfied. Yes, santushta satatam yogi. And we shouldn't disturb others. We should be completely peaceful in ourselves. We shouldn't disturb others, and we shouldn't hanker or lament for anything. We should be satisfied satisfied with our position, and we shouldn't strive for any place, special place of living. So just surrender to Krishna. And one who has such a disposition, he's very dear to the Lord. And one who is full of faith to the Lord is extremely dear to Krishna. Yes, and thus concludes the 12th chapter. And 13th chapter is the beginning of Jnana part of Bhagavad-gītā. And he explains the difference between matter and spirit. At the beginning of 2nd chapter, he already was explaining how the soul is different from the body. And therefore, 2nd chapter is called the summary of Gita. That is, the content of Gita is summarized in 2nd chapter. But here, Krishna goes in more detail. And Arjuna is asking question, what is the difference between kshetra and kshetragya? Kshetra means the field of activity, and kshetragya means the knower of the field. Yes. What is the difference between these two? And what is jnana and what is vijnana? Yes. And what is Purusha and what is Prakriti? Yes, he's asking these questions in the beginning of 13th chapter. And then Krishna explains that, actually, I'm summarizing now, that soul is kshetragya and the body is kshetra. Body is a field of activity, and the soul is the knower of the field of activity. But alongside with this kshetragya is another kshetragya, and I am this kshetragya in every body. Yes. Otherwise, the soul is this soul kshetragya in one body, of one body. One cannot know other bodies, other fields of activities, but Krishna knows everyone. Yes, every field of activity. As Krishna already explained this in the 7th chapter. Vedaham samatitani vartamanani charshana bhavishyami yecha bhutani mam tu vedana kashchana. That he knows everyone. Yes, and he knows past, present, and future. But he himself is not known by anyone. Yes, and then he explains different elements of this kshetra, and then he explains what is knowledge. And he begins this explanation in 5 verses. What is knowledge? By one would think 2 synonyms. Amaninam adambitvam. One is to be without pride, and other is humbleness. One would think this is the synonym, isn't it? Amanitvam adambitvam. But what is the difference? Amaninam means that we expect honor from others. Yes, like Lord Chaitanya explains in Shikshashtaka. Trinada pisanichana taruriva suhishnana amanina manadina kirtaniyah sadahari. Amanina. Be amanina. Don't expect respect for yourself. Yes, and here Krishna's explanation what is knowledge begins with amanitvam. Yes, this quality of not expecting respect is first requirement for knowledge. Yes, and this means amanitvam means that I don't expect others to see me as God. What is this expecting respect? Is that you demand from others that they accept you as the Lord, actually. Yes. And pride and acting from this pride platform, that means actually arrogance, is acting as we would be God. This is expecting others to recognize us as God. And this adambitvam is not acting as God. This is the difference. That's why there are two words for seemingly the same thing. Yes. But one is expecting others to recognize us as the Lord, and other is acting as we are the Lord. Yes. And then the central point of all these different items of knowledge is bhakti, again. He explains this, that bhakti is avyabhicharani bhakti, actually. Unalloyed bhakti. Yes, unwavering bhakti. Fixed bhakti. And yes, and engagement in spiritual dimension also. And I declare this as knowledge and everything else as ignorance. Krishna says. So, if one is not a devotee, he's an ignorant. He's ignorant. Yes. Krishna explains this throughout Bhagavad-gītā, that only knowledge is bhakti, actually. And if one is not a devotee, he's ignorant. And then he explains that when he says, I explained to you what is field of activity and iti kshetram tata jnanam, what is jnana, what is gyeya, iti kshetram tata jnanam, gyayam choktam samatsata, mad bhakta etat vidyaya, mad bhava upapadati. Only devotee can understand this. Yes. We stressed this many times, that only devotees can understand Bhagavad-gītā. And still there are many commentators of Bhagavad-gītā who are not devotees, who go against Krishna's statements. Krishna again and again is explaining that only devotees can understand this. But they dare to write commentaries on Bhagavad-gītā, declared by the author of Bhagavad-gītā himself that they're completely disqualified to understand anything. So, if there is a commentary that is not devotional commentary, it's craziness, not commentary. Yes. We shouldn't accept it as something important. Yes. You wanted to ask something? No. Yes. So, Krishna is explaining how the Lord is spreading everywhere. Sarvatak padipadam tat sarvatokshik shiromukam sarvatak Shrutimalloke sarvama vritya tishtati. And how his hands and legs and faces are everywhere. And this was the verse that Advaita Acharya couldn't connect it with bhakti for some time. And he fasted to get this knowledge. Yes, and then Krishna pacified him that he will know how to connect this with bhakti. But with Prabhupada's purpose, we can easily understand how this verse is connected to bhakti. The Lord is everywhere. His ears, his mouth, his legs, his hands are everywhere, and he can accept our meditation, our love our offerings from everywhere. Yes. So, and then he explains that every experience that we have in this world is caused by matter and three modes of material nature. And the cause of perceiving this is the soul. And he calls the living entity Purusha here. So, according to Krishna, according to 13th chapter, we are also Purusha. Dependent enjoyer, not independent enjoyer, of course. And according to our state of consciousness, we are moving to different species of life. Yes. And the Lord is witness, and he explains that he is only the witness and overseeing what is happening to individual soul. And and then Lord explains how one should engage in either meditation or jnana or anything like this, or even if he's engaged just by hearing, if one is not knowledgeable, he can also by hearing attain perfection. So if everything, of course, is connected to him. So this is the secret knowledge, that we should connect everything to him. Also this art, you're good at this art, you should connect to Krishna and you will achieve all perfection. For Krishna's pleasure and satisfaction. Yes. And he explains in the last part of 13th chapter how we should perceive that Lord is everywhere, and also soul is everywhere, and not influenced by matter, that only the body is working, how the soul is permeating. And this was already explained actually in 2nd chapter. Here he explains with different words the same thing. And if one has always such a vision, he can attain all perfection. And here he concludes 13th chapter of Bhagavad-gītā. Hare Krishna. Is there any question or comment? Or doubt? Yes, please.
In the 2nd chapter, Krishna says that on this path, there's no diminution.
Yes.
You know, what's that? And because I've heard, and what is that path? I mean, from hearing you, it should be bhakti.
Yes.
Some argue that there's also karma yoga in Bhagavad-gītā, and there's gyan, and then this verse that after many births, those who are on the impersonal path, they attain. So yeah, they could also argue that this path is also like karma yoga, jnana yoga. But you explain how actually whole Bhagavad-gītā is just bhakti.
Yes.
If you can,
Yes. And this verse, even if you accept, even if, if you accept the argument, counter-argument, we still prove our point that is only bhakti. Neha bikrama nashasti pratyoyo na vidyate svalpam piyasya dharmasya trati mahatobhat. Even one step towards bhakti can bring all success and delivers from the most dangerous fear. Yes, if we proceed, if we are sincere and we proceed on this path sincerely, then we will definitely achieve bhakti, sooner or later. and and therefore we are saved from most dangerous fear of, and Prabhupada mentions that this losing of human existence is one of such fears. Yes, because if we lose human existence, then we cannot at least consciously pursue the path of perfection. Yes. Although we know that even animals can engage in devotional service. Yes. But even if we accept that different paths are explained, but we already have explained that if you take Paribhasha Sutra, any of these verses that can be taken, it is explained that only bhakti is the goal of Bhagavad-gītā. Therefore, everything that is explained in any of the chapters of the Bhagavad-gītā is just to support this point. And we should understand all the points of Bhagavad-gītā through Paribhasha Sutra. That it, of course, establishes pure devotional service, unalloyed devotional service, uninterrupted devotional service to Krishna. Yes. Hare Krishna. Anything else? Yes?
That only bhakti gives eternal impressions on the soul. I don't know where he took it from, but so that also explains that this path, that nothing is
Lost.
lost. That other path doesn't give that eternal
Impression.
impression.
Yes, exactly. Because only devotional service is eternal. Bhakti is eternal. Spirit is eternal. And only bhakti is spiritual. Nothing else is spiritual. So nothing can give permanent impression. Yes, because impressions can be made only on the mind, on the body, subtle body or gross body. Can be these material impressions can be impressed only in material substance. Cannot be impressed in spirit. Yes. So only bhakti is eternal, and these other impressions are temporary, because our body is temporary also. Yes.
So it says that those who follow this impersonal path at last then reach me.
Yes, if they are completely sincere.
So what is it that turns it into bhakti? Is it some purification going on the impersonal path, or is it a causeless mercy? How is it turning to pure devotion?
Yes, this is a very good question. Because bhakti cannot be achieved by any material means. Not by pious work, not by knowledge, not by anything actually. Yes. And therefore Krishna says in 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Yadrichaya matkatadu, Yadrichaya matkatadu, Jata shadastu yakpuman, nanirvino nati sakto, bhakti-yoga siddhita. That one can engage in bhakti, Yadrichaya matkatadu, Jata shadastu yakpuman. If somehow or other, Yadrichaya means by undefined method. somehow or other, usually translated, or by providence is also translated, gets faith in my katha. And this is by our acharyas explained as causeless mercy of devotees. Yes. So, and that you receive this, you engage in some bhakti unmukhi sukriti, as Bhaktivinoda Thakur this very elaborately puts it. We usually use the word agyata sukriti, but Bhaktivinoda Thakur says this is not just agyata sukriti, because it's not sukriti. Sukriti usually means pious work, but by pious work Krishna cannot be attained, bhakti cannot be attained. Therefore he puts it as bhakti unmukhi sukriti, unaware devotional service. That we do something like King Nriga in Srimad Bhagavatam, in 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. He was very pious king, and he was performing different sacrifices and giving in charity immense wealth to brahmanas and cows and so on. And it happened that once he gave one brahmana thousands and thousands of cows, and then when this brahmana was trying to go away, one of his cows went back to the herd of King Nriga. And then King Nriga gave another charity to another brahmana, again thousands and thousands of cows. And it happened that this cow, particular cow that ran away from this herd that gave one brahmana to his herd, he gave this herd to another brahmana. And then this brahmana wanted to take these cows away, and the first brahmana said to this other brahmana, he said, "You're trying to take away my cow. Give me back my cow." And this other brahmana said, "But I just received it from King Nriga." And then the first brahmana said, "Yes, maybe this is true, but King Nriga stole it from me." And they went both to King Nriga to settle this dispute. And Nriga immediately understood that this is a heavy thing to displease Brahmana, to take away something from Brahmana. And he begged both of them, "Please give me this cow back, and I will give 10,000 other cows to you, to each of you, for the exchange for this cow." But not even one of these brahmanas were ready to change this particular cow for 10,000 of cows, and they left angrily King's presence. And then when King left this world, he was taken to Yamaraj. And he said that, "I can't see the end of your pious activities, so you can go for unlimited time in heaven. But you did one mistake, and you can choose one to get rectified for this mistake, or to go to heaven first, and then after unlimited time of enjoyment in heaven, you can rectify this offense." And he chose to first suffer for his offense, and he became a lizard in Dwaraka. And then Krishna's sons found this lizard in a deep well, and they tried to get it out, but they couldn't, and they went to Krishna to help them. And then Krishna extended his hand and easily lifted this lizard out of the well. And then by the touch of Lord Krishna's hand, he became a dazzling demigod. And he actually received agyata, the consequence of this bhakti unmukhi sukriti, because he performed also different charities for devotees, for great sages who were devotees, unknowingly, because he was pious by nature, and unknowingly he served the devotees, and therefore he achieved this mercy of being touched by the Lord's hand, and achieved bhakti then. He achieved then bhakti. So yes, one can achieve after many, many births bhakti because his disposition is saintly, and therefore he can meet devotees and listen Krishna Katha from them. Yes. Otherwise, if he wouldn't hear them, there would be no realization that Vasudeva is everything, that Krishna is everything. Yes.
So there's no progress in the practice of the impersonal path, making you come closer to that also.
You can become receptive for mercy, one can say. Yes, as pious works in themselves cannot lead to bhakti. So jnana by itself also cannot lead to bhakti, but can make one receptive for mercy. Yes, and to get the association of the devotees. Yes, because if you're pious, you will more likely to go to the temple where Krishna is worshipped than to some rave party, for example. Isn't it? Yes. So you will be easier exposed to bhakti than to some demoniac influences. Hare Krishna. Anything else? Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Srimad Bhagavad-gītā ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Please have my humble base.